Hey, and welcome to my third annual Stocking Stuffer Gift Guide. This is a guide of board games that you can get for friends and families for the holidays. All of them cost less than $30. Some of them cost a lot less than $30, and they will all fit in a stocking. So that is the goal of the list. I've already done 2 previous years of this, seeing as this is the third annual, so that's already 20 games that I've listed. So before you get angry and go in the comments and say, like, how dare you, how come you don't have this game on the list? It very well may be in one of those past years. You should check them out. And if it's not on the list at all and you still want on the list, that's fine. It's just I only did 10 of these a year, so there's only so much room on the list. These aren't ordered in any sort of order of best horse or anything. It's just 10 recommendations. So all of that being said, let's get right into it. Up first is Citadels. I think this is the oldest game on my list. It's an absolute classic. It's about 15 years old. And this is a game of like hidden roles where players select roles each round and each role can do a different thing. And you're trying to build buildings out of your hand, blah, 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 blah. One of the best things about this game is it fits up to 8 players, which is really cool. So for a very small amount of money, you can get a lot of players in, which is great if you're together with family or friends for the holidays. I highly recommend this game. It very much withstands the test of time. In a previous year, I did Masquerade, which is also by Bruno Faidutti, the designer. Also a really great small box game. So yeah, Citadels, can't miss. Rhino Hero. Rhino Hero is by Haba, and it's a kids game. Haba does incredibly good jobs with kids games, but don't let the fact that it's a kids game scare you away. I play it with my adult friends all the time with no kids around. It's a really fun, silly game. Basically, you are stacking cards that are kind of folded at 90-degree angles, and you're trying to build levels and put your rhino in it as it goes up and up and up and up, and you don't want the tower to fall over. If the tower falls over, you lose. It's a great game, great if you've got kids. I mean, kids like as young as 5 can play it because it's basically just a slight dexterity game, and it's a ton of fun, so I highly recommend it. Flip City. Flip City is a small box game from Tasty Dimensional Games that you might want to get for the kind of board gamer that's got everything because it's really unique and interesting. It's a deck building game like Dominion or any of those, but it's a small box one where it has a good push your luck mechanic where the cards are two-sided. And so you keep pushing your luck, playing more and more cards out of your deck, but if you get 3 unhappy faces, you don't get anything. So you like, oh, I want more money to get that next card, and you pull it, but then an unhappy face comes up, and you don't get anything. But you can upgrade the cards to flip them over to their other side to get rid of unhappy faces. And it's a very tight game, just trying to like maximize the efficiency of your deck. And it plays unlike a lot of other games. So this is a really good one if somebody is super into Dominion or things like that. And of course, I'm going to say Codenames. It's absolutely the hotness this year by Vlaada Chvátil. It is a party game for 2 to, I think it says 10 players on the box, but really however many you want. You just split into teams. And it is a game sort of like Taboo or any word game where you're trying to get your team to guess a word. But you have a grid of 25 cards laid out in front of you, and all of them will have a word on it. For example, they'll say ball and city and whatever, just generic words. And then you have 2 team leaders who can see basically a third of the cards are on blue cards for one team, a third of them are red cards for another team, and a third of them are neutral cards, except there's also an assassin card that if your team guesses it, you immediately lose. And the goal is to get your team to guess your color cards without guessing the other team's cards. And it's way harder than it sounds. There's a little bit more nuance to it, but it's very, very simple, very, very fun, always good for a laugh, and it is a great game if your family doesn't play a lot of games or things like that. This is a really easy one to get people to the table playing. Sticking with really good group games, Spyfall. Spyfall is very similar to Werewolf and other hidden role social deduction games, except this one's kind of funnier in a way. There's a lot of chance for humor, where everyone is dealt a card, and that's the location that you're at. So it's the same location, right? So everybody will be in the nightclub, right? And you get the card in the nightclub, and you have an illustration. Except for one person gets a card with just an X on it, and you are the spy. And I guess the theme of the game is like you're a bunch of people talking about that one night you had, but you're faking it because you don't know. And then you just take turns asking one another questions to see who the spy is. So you could say like, what time of day would we go here to a person? And they would say like evening or night. But the people who aren't the spy don't want to be so clear with their questions or answers that the spy becomes aware of where they are, but they definitely want to make sure that they know that person's not the spy. It's really fun, and you have an absolute panic attack when you're the spy and somebody asks you a question that you have no answer to because you have no idea where you are. Really good game, very cheap, very small, highly recommended. Pretense is a very small game. It comes in these little wallets that all the Button Shy games come in. And it is a game to play during a game night. Basically, everybody gets dealt a secret card at the beginning of the game night, and you have a secret objective. It might be to have someone hand you money, or have someone hand you the rule book, or throw you something. And so then during the game night, you're trying to get people to do your role, what your role requires, while guessing what other people's roles are. It's a lot of fun. It adds like this paranoia throughout your game night, because somebody will be like, hey, can I see the rules? And it's like, yeah, wait a minute. Like, I'm not going to hand them to you. I'm going to set them on the table, and you have to take them and stuff like that. But really good for like an ongoing game during game night. It's very small, very cheap. All of the Button Shy games are very small. All of them would make great stocking stuffers. The Grizzled. The Grizzled is an absolutely beautiful game that came out from Cool Mini or Not this year. It is about World War I. It is about trying to survive the cold and rain and all the horrible things, supporting your friends. It's a completely cooperative game. It certainly has not necessarily a very happy Christmas theme to it, but that's part of the appeal of it for me, is that it's kind of a game that's trying to do something a little bit different. It's not necessarily trying to be happy fun. There's a lot of kind of sadness and bleakness to the game, but it's really, really good, and I can't recommend it enough. So if you're the kind of group that likes artsy games or things like that, I definitely think The Grizzled is for you. Up next is Anything from the Pack-O Games. These are a pack of 8 games that all are in the size of gum. So like chewing gum size packages. They're so small. They would make great stocking stuffers if you had a bunch of brothers or sisters or kids or whatever. You could give each one of the games or 2 of the games so that everybody could kind of have every one of them. They're all different themes. They're all different mechanics, stuff like that. The only unifying factor is that they're very small. And the games are Hue, TKO, Jim, Fly, Taj, Lie, Shh, and Bus. They're only $6 each, so you can buy a bunch of them, give them to everybody. Really creative idea for the game, and some really interesting, deep gameplay for such a small box. Red 7. Red 7 is a wonderful game where the only rule is you have to always be winning. Whenever you finish your turn, you have to be winning. If you're not winning, you lose. The way that works is you have a hand of cards, and you need to play them into the center, and the cards will change the rules of the game. So it might be has the most cards less than 5, or has the most red cards, or something like that. A lot of interesting gameplay comes out of very simple rules. It's a game that you can get non-gamers to play. It's a game sort of like Flux, but a little bit gamier than Flux. Highly recommend it. It's a very small box, easily fits on a stocking. It's a hit. Every time I played it, it's a total hit. It's another one that you can get your family that doesn't game to play with you if you're into that kind of thing. And now one, this pushes the boundaries a little bit because the box is a little bit too big for a stocking, but they have those big stockings that you could get, I guess, if you really needed it to fit in a literal stocking. But another hot game this year is Seven Wonders Duel. Seven Wonders Duel is basically the 2-player version of Seven Wonders. It's a different game. It plays differently, but it has a lot of the same feeling. It's a drafting game where you build kind of this like pyramid of cards, and you only have access to one row of cards until the next row. It is really good, some really creative ideas. It's been a big hit with fans of Seven Wonders. It's a 2-player only game though, so if you're a couple that likes gaming, this is something you give to each other, or if you are, in 2-person game groups, stuff like that, this is definitely what you want to get for the holiday season. It is a fantastic game, and I highly recommend it. Alright, that's it for this list. Thanks so much for tuning in. I am off until January, but I will definitely see you then. And be back with the normal news, all that normal stuff. Make sure to check out past year's lists if you haven't seen those for even more great recommendations. It's been a really great year for games. Lots of cool stuff's come out. So yeah, go give each other games and have happy holidays and spend time with your friends and family and have fun and be good and all that stuff. Alright, see you next year.